Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Discover the Hidden Potential of Your Mind podcast. My name is Dave Anderson, and I am so honored today to be the guest host of this podcast in place of the wonderfully amazing Angelica Baum. And in fact, I do have a special guest. And yes, it is Angelica herself joining me. She's typically in my chair as the host of this show, but now she is being interviewed by me today. And Angelica, welcome to your podcast.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Of course, it's my honor and privilege to be able to sit here and have this amazing conversation with you that we're going to have. And just to give everyone a little bit of an intro about Angelica. You may know a lot of this, but I want to share this for anyone who's tuning in who maybe doesn't know Angelica or is discovering her work for the very first time. So Angelica has been a relationship coach now for more than 15 years. And in addition to that, for a very long time, but just as long, she's been working with individuals on shifting and changing, transforming their subconscious belief patterns, which is a really powerful experience that I've had in working with Angelica over the years. Now, it's been about 8 years since I've known Angelica and watched her do this incredible work. But really and truly, more than anything these days, Angelica loves to work with couples on really strengthening and improving their relationship and really getting to the core issues and building a rock solid foundation in their relationships. And we're going to discuss this in some depth and detail today in this conversation. Like I said, Angelica and I have known each other for more than 8 years. And what's amazing about the work that Angelica does is she's able to serve clients from all over the world through her virtual coaching and support and workshops that she runs. So with that, let's just dive into this conversation and we'll see where it goes. Angelica, why don't you start off and just share a little bit with everyone listening and watching right now about the course for your powerful life partnership, and really what was your motivation about creating this program in the first place?
That's a great question. Yeah, I find that there's still lots of misconceptions about seeking the help of a coach or a therapist, any sort of marriage counseling or relationship coaching. Most people, unfortunately, don't come to me until their relationship is in trouble. Nobody really teaches us how to do relationships, but we muddle on until we're in a lot of pain or even considering separation or divorce. And that is really actually sad. There's a lot of shame still attached to seeking professional help for our relationships. Meanwhile, with our businesses in trouble, I mean, you know this as a business coach, of course, we will seek advice and do something about it. And I would like to see the same happen for relationships. That's really the smart thing, right? Learning new tools is what can really help us. So,
love that.
yeah.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add there?
Yeah, but the exception to that are my younger couples, not necessarily younger in age, but who are just getting together, who are just moving in with each other, maybe getting married or starting a long-term relationship. Because I see them do the smart thing more and more, right? I see that as they're moving into that lifelong partnership, and that's where this title of my course is from. It's a powerful lifelong partnership, whether you're married or whether you're just deciding to be committed to each other. And it's so thrilling for me to see how these young couples communicate openly. They're willing to explore, willing to be curious, about their own history, their partner's history. That all affects us, of course, impacts us in our relationships, right? Our childhood experiences or past relationship experiences. They're open to learning new tools. And that is so wonderful to see. And that's where this inspiration comes from, to offer a course where we can do this, where we can start off early before the relationship is in big trouble.
I think that's really important. And I would love to hear about some of the tools that you found to be incredibly useful to those couples that are moving through this and really laying that foundation, whether they're a new couple or a more seasoned couple that have been together for a while. What are some of the most powerful and um, practical and useful tools that you found to be most effective?
Yeah. So tools in the wider sense of the word, it starts with being present with each other, connecting, listening actively. Um, you'd be surprised probably how little that happens, how people don't really allow themselves to be present and connect and watch each other's responses as they're communicating. Um, another tool would be, how do I make my partner feel seen and heard? How do we acknowledge each other's feelings? Lots of people are stumped. How do I do that? What do I say or don't say to simply acknowledge what the other person is feeling, and I allow them to feel less alone by doing that? Then sharing your own feelings and experiences without blaming, right? Without thinking along the lines, well, you're making me feel this way. Nobody makes us feel anything. This is really, we need to own our own emotions and express them in a way that's free of blame. Another tool would be, how do I work through criticism and defensiveness? Nobody likes to be criticized, of course. It's a tough thing, but we can learn how to um, receive criticism and how to deliver criticism in a productive way, right? In a gentle, productive way, so that we don't get stuck in defensiveness all the time. Or another super important tool would be how to do conflicts well. When we avoid conflicts, that's actually not doing conflicts well, because conflicts happen, conflicts are normal in relationships, and we need to learn how to have conflicts and have a conflict repair cycle going, where the conflict can happen, the conflict is a disconnect. How can we quickly repair this and do something productive with this conflict, right? So that again is something that nobody teaches us.
That sounds really important because I can imagine that for a lot of couples, there's those two possibilities where either they're avoiding the conflicts altogether, which if that happens for a long time, then you have hurt and pain that festers and grows without it being addressed, which if left, unattended to, that could really cause a problem. And then on the flip side, you've got maybe people who are not necessarily avoiding the conflicts altogether. They just don't really have an effective way of managing the conflicts. So those conflicts are getting addressed in some way, but they're actually becoming more inflammatory and becoming bigger problems than they need to be, if there was, as you were just describing there, some effective processes and ways to actually manage those conflicts. So you have a repair cycle, I think you said, or your words, a repair cycle that allows a couple to let the conflicts be there. It's not that you're trying to avoid them altogether, but then actually have a way to manage that effectively. And then I can imagine that once you have that in place, that's the sort of thing, along with some of these other tools, that actually really lay a foundation and can be used forever, almost like these evergreen tools that are always available that you can pull from your arsenal. So it sounds like, in what you are creating for couples in this experience, it sounds like couples are really getting the opportunity to establish a really rock solid base and foundation in their relationship.
Absolutely. And you said that beautifully, actually. And the key point is, we need to practice these techniques, right? We can't just intellectually read about it and think now we can apply it. We need to practice a bit. And that way we can build really a solid foundation for the relationship house, right? When we look at the relationship like a house, we want a solid base, of course. So some of those things that are part of the space is, what are my values, what are my partner's values, what are my needs, what are my partner's needs, where do they overlap, where don't they overlap? Then what do we do with that? How do we work out compromises? All couples have perpetual problems, meaning these are problems where there is actually no solution, because it comes from different values or different needs. But what we can do with these problems is we can figure out compromises for right now in time. What do we do with this? And it got very important also for the base of that relationship house would be how to stay out of destructive dynamics. So to understand if some dynamics are going on that aren't helpful, what is happening and how do I change them? And just seeing what's possible with my younger clients, or not necessarily, like I said before, younger in age, but who are just starting out and who are willing to do the work, that has made me feel really strongly about wanting to offer this relationship prep course.
I know that, one of the things that's coming up for me is I'm aware of churches of different denominations having courses for couples, as they're, especially if they're going to get married in the church. Sometimes it's required, or it's at least offered and available to those couples who are embarking on a journey where they're going to actually end up in marriage together. So I'd love to kind of hear your reflections about, how this is maybe similar, or perhaps how it's different than the sorts of offerings that are presented to couples by churches.
Yeah, so different churches offer marriage prep classes, and that can definitely be very useful. My program is non-denominational. It's really for anybody who wants to get married, or already is married, or is even just committing to a long-term partnership as common laws in whatever form. So that there is a lot of similarities, but I want to bring it out to a wider range of people, right? If you're not connected to a church, here's another offer. And I offer these insights and resources as well, and opportunities to practice the new tools, like with successful communication, for example.
And I can imagine that, and even for myself, as I listen to this, I can imagine how valuable and powerful this can be for a couple. At the same time, there's a bit of ego that seems to kind of get in the way, and I can imagine this happens for many people that are listening to this and considering seeking advice. As you said, it's normal to do this in business and in other areas of our life, maybe even health, for example. If someone's wanting to lose some weight or get healthier or improve their energy or their sleep, what do? They go find a personal trainer or a health coach or someone that has expertise and experience in that field who can guide them, help them, and support them. But it's true that almost kind of like money and finances, I feel like relationships are similar. There's a bit of a, don't talk about it. It's kind of like it stays behind closed doors in the private residences of millions of couples all over the world. And so I'm curious to hear your insights on why it's so important to learn to communicate. Part of my thinking too is, isn't this something that we all grow up knowing how to do? I mean, we're social humans, and we talk to people our whole life, and we have lots of relationships professionally and personally with our friends, family, colleagues. What are your thoughts on that in terms of the importance of really learning to communicate in a partnership, in a long-term committed relationship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would think that we learn to do this, but we really don't when you take a closer look, because in school, we actually learn to argue and win arguments. That does not work in our close love relationships, because when one person wins, both partners actually lose. Marriage is not about winning or losing. It's not about being right or wrong. There's this wonderful saying that different people say, and I know Dr. John Gottman, for example, likes to say it: you can either be right or you can be married or in a long-term relationship, because literally you need to move beyond right or wrong. If you're just out to prove that you're right and your partner is wrong, that really hurts the relationship. That's toxic for the relationship. So coaching is about a different relationship coaching here is about a different type of communication. It's learning to connect and communicate effectively as a team, where each of you feels safe, where both partners feel safe and heard, where it's a win-win that we're looking for all the time. It's not about who's right or who's cleverer or who's the better human or whatever. So I think school has not prepared us well for this sort of communication at all. And yeah, I would love to see relationship coaching in schools, relationship coaching for close love relationships, family relationships. Maybe one day that will happen.
That's really I think that's some very powerful perspective. And as I reflect on it, I can see what you're saying, that I mean, really the school
Like, I mean,
environment.
you're married, right? When you
Yeah.
think of
Yeah. I'm reflecting that, like,
Wait,
we are wired to just have this desire to be right. And I can see how that's been set up and programmed and really reinforced thousands and thousands of times, whether, from something as simple as taking a simple quiz in school. I mean, the whole point is you want to get as many things right as possible. It's the whole goal with every subject, with every class. And then as students get older, you get into, there's debate class, and you're learning how to, it's literally creating an argument. And sure, there's some guidelines and some structure. That's the only difference, is that, and there's facilitation. It's not just, duking, having a fight, but we're actually learning the skill set of arguing and debating, which I'm not denying there can be practical applications and use cases for that skill in certain areas of our lives. And
if you become a lawyer, it's
if you become a
probably a very
lawyer or
handy skill.
a politician, or, then that can be really practical. But for most people, and even the lawyers and the politicians, a lot of those people end up in long-term relationships and end up married. And I can imagine how they're taking that programming and those muscles that they've built over many, many, many years, and subconsciously, without even realizing it, I'm sure I do this unconsciously, I guess is the word, pulling that into their relationship. And I see how that could create destructive patterns, perpetual problems, as you said, in those long-term committed relationships. So I think for me, that's a really striking insight that I've just gained through this conversation in real time. I'm having it, right now upon reflection, as you were sharing those thoughts. So I would love to hear this. Who is this course really for, as you think about the candidates that would be absolutely perfect to go through a course like this one?
Yeah, pretty much anybody who wants to move beyond right and wrong. Because really there is no right and wrong. Most things in life aren't right or wrong, but it's different perspectives. And can I acknowledge that I have a different perspective from my partner, and vice versa? And can it simply be different and not right or wrong, or better and worse? But to answer your question more precisely, so it would be for couples who want to be equipped with tools for a successful relationship, like I said before, all those tools that we don't learn in school or at home. I mean, some of us have wonderful role models, but others have been watching parents who are also not communicating that successfully. It's also for couples who have a specific issue they want to work through before making a commitment. It's for couples who are not sure if they want to get married or deepen their commitment, but here's a chance to look at some areas of a relationship and to do some work on it. It's also for couples who are already married or in a committed relationship and things maybe aren't going as they imagined. So when the honeymoon period is over, we can sometimes feel a little disillusioned. And if you're unsure how to improve your relationship, coaching would be the way to go. To see, okay, what can we learn? What insights can we gain, and what can we learn to do things differently?
I thought, Angelica, that I would actually just pull up the website briefly here for the
Sure.
course, and then maybe as I do that, you can even share a little bit about what's included and what couples can expect in this experience to receive and move through. So here's the site, and for anyone who's able to see this right now, or if you're just listening in, you can go to greendoorrelaxation.net, and then if you go to services in the top menu and go down to coaching, and then for couples, you'll see the link to the course for your powerful life partnership. And so here's the website right here. It kind of walks through the different things that are included and who the course is for and all the different elements that are included. So while I'm here on this page, Angelica, why don't you just speak to this a little bit in terms of what's included and what can couples expect in this course?
Yeah, so you're at the perfect point here on the website, because you can see that what's included is, it starts out with 13 area questionnaire, so a pre-course questionnaire for the couples to fill out and return. And that is an opportunity for the couple to already think about different aspects of their relationship. And it already gives me great insight into the unique relationship, because all relationships are very individual and unique. And then what areas to focus on. Because what I can do with this one-on-one couples coaching is I can really adapt to the needs a specific couple has, right? So this is not in session 1, we do this, in session 2, we do this necessarily, but we can really customize it depending on the needs a specific couple has. I offer 3 different packages, either 4, 5, or 6 sessions. These sessions are all 2 hours long, so you then end up with 8, 10, or 12 hours of individual coaching. And we look at key areas. For example, the expectations we have, the expectations of each other, of love, of marriage. Because if we are not clear with our expectations, and we don't know what our partner's expectations are, we can end up feeling resentful, right? We need to be transparent with our expectations, be interested in our partner's expectations, so that we can, work something out. We work on successful communication, as I said, managing conflict, intimacy, finances. Finances is often a big topic. Extended family as another topic, children and parenting, if that's a part of this couple's future plans. I mean, as soon as children come into the mix, it's a totally different ball game, right? Having 3 little kids, you totally know that adds some extra challenges into the relationship. And it's good to already at the beginning of the relationship or marriage, figure out what are our parenting styles? What do we want around parenting? And do we actually match, or where is there something to work through? I'm sure if you want to jump in here and comment on that, feel free.
Well, what's becoming very apparent to me is just, you don't even realize, I think, in entering a relationship, and especially if kids are involved, but even without kids, how many categories and subcategories in different areas of life are impacted by the wellness, the well-being, or the health of our relationships. That primary relationship, the long-term relationship, the partner that we're living with, spending so much time with, if that relationship is not stable and healthy, and if there's not effective communication in that relationship, just how many areas of life can and will be impacted by that, whether it's negatively impacting your professional life, your health, your mental health, emotional health, stress levels, financial health, relationships with friends, relationships with colleagues. I mean, I can go on and on. My brain just starts to think of all these different areas, and I almost see it as, by really being proactive about addressing that foundational relationship in your life, the predominant committed relationship in someone's life, if that's where they're at in their life. I could also see on the flip side the endless and infinite benefits to all those areas of life if that relationship is centered around effective communication and transcending beyond being right, and just really actually listening, real listening, not pretend listening, like so many of us, including myself, are guilty of many times in a week, in a month, and just based on habits and things we've picked up through our parents and our teachers and our colleagues and our friends. So those are just some of my reflections, and I really think that it's an incredible course, an amazing program that couples should take advantage of. I sit here thinking, hey, I should probably do this with my wife, and I think it'd be really beneficial to be part of this. So thank you, Angelica, for sharing all of this with everyone today. If you're listening or watching right now, thanks for tuning in to Discover the Hidden Potential of Your Mind podcast. Again, my name is Dave. I'm the guest host for today, interviewing Angelica. And just to wrap everything up here for this conversation, Angelica, what else, if anything, would you like to kind of leave people with as we conclude the conversation for today?
Yeah, but perhaps we should finish off with a bit of contact info. One way, of course, is always the phone. That would be North America and 905-286-9466. Then my website, greendoorrelaxation.net. Just find this course under services, or email me. That's always good as well. And the email address would be greendoorrelaxation@yahoo.ca. So these are all different ways to reach out to me. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from lots of people.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure. I know I got a lot out of that conversation, and I'm sure that everyone tuning in, be it through audio only or the video, received a lot of value as well. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.